The Nasty Collective Podcast. Yeah, I said the Nasty Collective Podcast. What we talking about?
Welcome back to the Nasty Collective Podcast, man. We got another special episode for y'all today. So, we got a special guest here, and for some reason, I got blessed with this interview here, and I just want to, hear him out, have him tell us where he's from, what he does, and shine a little bit on the screen. So, Dakotah, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely, man. Appreciate you having me out. It means a lot to be on the podcast, man.
Hey,
it means a lot.
Thank you.
So my name is Dakotah Faye. I'm a hip-hop artist from Minot, North Dakota. I'm on tour right now. Always got to show love to Sioux City. It's always a great time. I've been making music for almost 20 years now, and it's my whole life. It's everything that I'm passionate about. 2 years sober, so a lot of my music has to deal with that and topics like that. It's always been my outlet, my diary. It's what I'm all about. So I'm going to keep doing music and keep touring and keep doing shows, and I'm here to, give you a little glimpse of what I'm about.
You talk about showing love to Sioux City.
Absolutely.
Can you tell me why you're here in Sioux City today?
It's always Rev. Rev is from Gutter Collective.
Shout out.
Shout out to him,
Shout out
man.
to Gutter Collective. Shout out Rev.
He's a real one. He's always showed love to me. He's been a fan of mine for a long time, and I finally got to come down here for one of his Dirty 30 parties. And ever since then, he just keeps booking me and keeps letting me come down and shows love, and so do all the locals and all the other artists that I've met here. So Sioux City is slowly becoming one of my favorite places to come.
Yeah.
For sure.
And then currently you are on the Uninvited guest tour, correct?
Yep.
Can you tell me a little bit about that and the background behind that?
Yeah, for sure. So I dropped the album about a month ago, and I've been a little bit better about doing marketing and, themed around my projects, being a little bit more thoughtful about everything that I do with it. So touring included. I've been booking them for the past couple years, and they seem to get easier and easier. So we started out this one in North Dakota, did the home shows first. I know sometimes people like to end there, but I wanted to, kind of get the vibes right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So from there, this week we did 4 shows in a row. This is the 3rd day, but we were in Des Moines, then Omaha yesterday, Sioux City tonight,
Damn.
Lincoln, Nebraska on Sunday, and then I get to go home for a little break, and then we're doing Minnesota. And, being an independent artist, we don't stop being on the road. We just kind of group shows together and call them tours, but we're living on the road. So,
yeah,
like I said earlier, man, when we were talking before, I always find that doing shows is the best way to get real connections with people and kind of build that face to face. There's, it's like sales, you go door to door. That's the best way to do it, I feel like. So, I live on the road, and this tour has been incredible so far. I got my friends off screen with me, but having them come with me and do shows and stuff, it's a great time. I think it's the best part of the gig. I really do. Like this is the best part of the job for me. It makes it not feel like a job.
So what are some things that you would say that are, besides like having the homies around, what are some things about like being on the road that are good, and some of the stresses behind that as well?
For sure. The best parts are just seeing new places, going to travel. It's an excuse to go see the country. North Dakota is, pretty flat and pretty uneventful. So for the most part, it's a beautiful place to me. It's my home, but it's nice to get out and kind of scratch that itch of, being outside. So, trying new food, seeing new cultures, all over the country, meeting new people. Those are the good parts. The bad parts are, the not so fun parts are driving in a car for 14 hours like I did on Thursday to get down here. You know what I mean? Eating gas station food, doing what you can, barely getting sleep. Those are the downsides, but they're part of the gig, and I wouldn't want to have it any other way, for sure.
Right. That hustle mentality, you really need that around you during this time. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That's always great to hear that you're doing so much with music. And as far as when it comes to music, how'd you even begin with that, even surrounding you as a passion?
It started when I was young. I mean, I've always been a fan of hip hop. My mom was definitely the one that got me into hip hop and R&B and that kind of music. And
wow,
I wrote poetry a lot as a kid. I was very introverted, only child, so I was writing a lot of poetry and stuff like that. But then I met Eddie Mag, my boy that's off camera here, and he had rapped before in the past, so he kind of got me to do a song, and it was love at first sight. You know what I mean? The first verse I ever wrote, I knew it was what I wanted to be. It's truly helped me become the person that I am, help me break out of my shell and gain that confidence. Because, seeing those rappers on TV when I was a kid with the chains and iced out, oozing confidence, that's who I knew I wanted to be. So as soon as I wrote my first verse, I fell in love. Music has been my passion ever since.
And the reason I say passion as well is because when I listen to some of the music that you're making, it's a lot of like emotion that's going behind it. It's not like you're really talking about these bitches and hoes.
Right.
You're talking about some real shit that you actually are feeling, seeing, and experiencing out here. Does your background and your culture have anything to do with that as far as like what you're putting into your music as well?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's always been my diary. It's always been my way to vent and get my stuff out. It's always been like that for me. So I'm very passionate about the things that I write because they all come from inside. You know what I mean? Whether it's something that I've gone through or something that I've seen somebody else go through, I always try to live vicariously through other people through music. And being able to see nowadays like people relate to that and hit me up and like, yo, your music helped me get through the same shit I was going through,
Right.
my sobriety and all that especially is what has really pushed my music the last couple years, and the stuff that I've been talking about. It feels like I'm making more of an impact not only on other people but for myself. It's therapy, you know what I mean? And it's really helped me all throughout my life. I don't know where I would be without music.
Yeah.
Mm.
As far as when you started making music, to the point of where you're at now,
Right.
and I want to know how long that distance was, and what has changed from the beginning to now.
A perspective, as you get older, not just with music, but you grow and you learn, and you get a little bit more humble. When I was young, like to answer your first part of your question, we started making music in 2009. We were
Oh,
like
damn.
12, 13 years old,
Yeah.
just kids on the webcam microphones, figuring it out, terrible quality, writing about what we thought was cool, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was rapping about money and cars, but it was just, I was almost trying to manifest it, you know what I mean? I was writing about what I wanted or my life to be like. And as I've gotten older and I've went through life and actually experienced things, you start to write more about that, and the topics become more mature, and the confidence starts to build, and the things that you talk about start to actually have validity and mean something. They hold weight. So, yeah, I've definitely improved, not just ability wise, but just where I'm at mentally and where I'm at in life.
And as far as when you are making a song, what's the behind the scenes of that? Is it a long stretch of time, or do you sit down and you're freestyling and you're
Right.
just coming off the top of your head? What's like the process behind your songwriting?
I think it's a little bit of both. It's situational because there's definitely been times where I've written something to a song and then I haven't touched it for a couple years, and maybe end up finishing it, or I send it to somebody else and they do a verse on it, and I'm like, I know exactly how I'm going to finish this song.
Mm.
Sometimes it's a quick process. Like you said, for the most part, I'll put on production and then freestyle. Like I'll kind of get the
Yeah.
melodies, get kind of the flow or whatever I'm going for, and then build from there. So, but there's definitely been times where I've written before I've gotten to production, and times where I've kind of rapped around the production. I think for the most part, I like to rap to production. I'm very like, I don't produce myself, but the producers that I do work with, we definitely build a sound together, and I love to morph into whatever their ideas are too. You know what I mean? So it's a nice little yin and yang kind of blend with the production that I'm doing it with. I always like to say like a chameleon almost. You know what I mean? You're changing, your appearance to blend into whatever the background is. So that's where I always get my idea from. Like a lot of the time when I get a beat or something, a producer will like have a name for it already.
Right.
And a lot of the times I'll go off of that name because that's, I'm trying to imagine like that's the feeling that they got with that beat. So
Right.
I try to like blend in with that too. But sometimes it's a long process and sometimes it's a short process. You just never know with music.
Yeah. And I know that when you're making your music, you're also not just thinking about the song process, you're also thinking about the visual side of things as well.
Absolutely.
And looking at your YouTube account,
Yeah.
you can see that you really give a fuck about like the visuals behind all your songs.
For sure.
Give me a little bit of insight behind the thought process of your visuals there.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is I've been going really hard on TikTok for the past couple of years.
Right.
And that has really opened my eyes of exactly what you said. Take into account the visual side of it and how visually you can enhance the art and enhance the music. So just being on camera more and doing my content creation stuff, which I know a lot of artists might have mixed feelings about doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I always just find it as like a tool. Like I would much rather have these resources than not. Being able to, post a video on TikTok and it go viral, you know what I mean? Anybody has the chance to do that. I just think of a time before when it was really hard to promote your music on social media. So I take it as a challenge, and I'm really starting to love it, and it's really starting to shine in the music video side of it. Shout out my boy Reddy, he's been helping me do the visuals and stuff. We just been having a vision, and everything has purpose now. You know what I mean? When we're dropping albums, we're dropping singles, we're doing shows, we're doing music videos, visual content. Everything is combined and has purpose and themes, and everything makes sense. You know what I mean? So we're starting to be more thoughtful in it, and I'm glad that it shows. With the visual side of it.
And see, when you talk about putting all that time into all this work that you're going into the music and stuff, we also talk about the experiences that you experienced as well.
Right.
And I saw that you touched up a little bit about sobriety. Can you tell me a little bit about what that means to you?
It means the world. For a long time, I in my 20s and even in my teenage years in high school, I fell into a lifestyle where, I was numbing, my pain and trying to run away. And in North Dakota, in a lot of areas in the country, there's drug problems everywhere. You know what I mean? So I definitely found myself falling into that hole when, I remember a time when I was young thinking like, oh, that would never be me. I just do it on the weekends. I just do it for fun. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, you're going on benders and waking up late and having hangovers more than you're not having hangovers, and starting to think like, man, what am I doing with my life? Where am I at? So it was definitely a wake up call for me. And shout out my wife, Hannah. We got clean together. And if I didn't have her, I don't know if I would have been able to do that. And, I heard a lot of relationships in my past with my friends and my family and missed out on a lot. And it was a big part of my 20s, and it really hindered me. This whole time I was still doing music and still doing stuff, but it was half-assed because, I was more worried about getting high or whatever the case was. So I made it out, and 2 years later, I feel like I'm more focused than ever. And now I'm trying to find purpose in hoping my story can help other people, and hearing people, message me and about their sobriety, and just building a community of like a safe space for people to like get clean if they're thinking about it, or, celebrate their anniversaries of their sober dates and everything like that. So it's a big part of who I am now, and I'm just paying it forward. So yeah, for sure.
You touch up on community, and I wanted to that triggered a thought in my brain. I know I follow you on Facebook, or at least I like your page, and I get updates sometimes about it. I saw a post one time that was saying that they really appreciated the way that you didn't just blow up, and you're going step by step, and you're building as you go. And I believe that under that you commented something along the lines of, for a while you were struggling with seeing growth on the audience side of things. So you're starting to see that like you have a community surrounding you, at least slowly, but you're building what you're earning here. And what do you think about that there?
Yeah, I mean, you struggle with it in the fact that like, the person in you wants the immediate satisfaction. You want that instant gratification. You have these big dreams and ideas for who you are, and you're confident, and you think that you deserve it, and you do deserve it. But at the same time, the journey that we're on is the path that we're meant to be on. So whether or not that's fast or slow, I'm very thankful for the path that I'm on, because, say I did get a big opportunity when I was younger, I don't know if I would have been ready for that. I might have squandered that opportunity, and who knows where I would have been at. But I feel like this, I wouldn't say slow grind, but it's purposeful. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And building that foundation, I feel like it's really strong. So when that moment does come now, I'm more prepared than ever. And I can reflect back on the days of, when I didn't have nothing, and really truly appreciate it more. And I think that reflects itself in my fan base, and I think my fans can definitely relate to that too. So just hearing words, just again, that conversation with somebody, a fan of mine that I had on that post, you know what I mean? It's just building that strong foundation, and no matter what journey that, the timetable or timeline that you have, it's meant to be, you know what I mean? Whether it's short or long. So be grateful and enjoy it,
Yeah. And I like that key term you said there, like a purposeful grind there, like a purposeful hustle. I think that's the best way to describe it there, because you're doing everything, you have all this emotion behind every action that you're causing. And I just believe that you're seeing the product of it through your music and through your audience. So it's really nice to see, especially I think it's like healthy to see a young artist, you know, start growing in this industry because we just want to see something like real people hustle, right?
Right.
You don't want to just see somebody that just blows up and then people think that he's the best one. Like,
Right.
you're
Yeah,
out
for
here
sure.
putting the legwork in, you're out here putting these miles in between states, and
Yeah.
you're trying to get your name out here, and that's the hustle of an artist. And
Yeah.
I think that's the most respectful thing. And when you talk about TikTok and you talk about these online social media accounts, it's throughout history of hip hop, throughout history of any kind of music, we go where we're needed.
Yeah,
You know,
for
out
sure.
of the trunks of selling CDs
Yeah.
to now TikTok, it is. You know, it's just you got to get with the times sometimes, and
Yeah.
just go where the people are at.
Absolutely.
And to end it off here, to end off this dope ass interview we got going on, can you give the people, the audience, anyone that's listening out there, any advice as an artist or just as a human being out here in the world that they might want to hear?
Right. Grind. Be consistent, be purposeful. That is the biggest thing that I found. You know, it can be hard trying to figure out where you're at, and sometimes you can get down on yourself, but everything happens for a reason. I truly believe that. You know, it's your destiny, and if you truly believe that, you got to be delusional about it. Be delusional about your art. Be the utmost confidence, and no matter what anybody says or thinks, because there's always going to be someone that has something negative to say to you, you got to keep pushing. You got to do it, and you got to realize that all of these people that support you and love you mean more than the one or two people that don't like you. So be consistent, be purposeful, and be a little bit delusional, you know?
You heard it here first.
Yeah.
Be your biggest fan. And with that being said, the Nasty Collective Podcast, man.
Yes, sir.
We out.
Appreciate you having me, man. Means a lot. Thank you.